How about now? Can you all hear me now okay? There we go. So, we should now, I hope, have sound. Yes, no, yes, no. Still no sound? Yes, hey, thank you very much. And I've only had one. So, yeah. Anyway, let's just have a little sort of good evening. This is the version for the deaf. It is the version for the deaf. Don't ask me to do sign language because I am out of luck if I do that. Okay, so thank you very much, as always, for joining me in tonight's Last Minute Live. Thank you to Michael Wright, who gives me a kick up every other Thursday where we don't normally do a live stream to do a live stream. So that's what we're going to do tonight, which is our pre-holiday get-together, shall we say. So as most of you are probably going to be celebrating tomorrow, either sort of Christmas or just holidays, whatever, let me first of all just take this couple of moments to say I hope you are all well, you're all safe with regards to what's going on in the world right now, and you are all looking forward to at least having a break from the day-to-day grind that is work. So, let me know where you are, let me know what your plans are, because I would love to know, and then we can just kind of have a little bit of a chat. Now, tonight is going to be pretty loose. There's nothing really planned. I've got a couple of things I want to talk about, but this is really just a kind of, let's just call it a global pre-holiday party drinking session, whether that's tea, coffee, a beer, whatever your favourite tipple is, and just kind of seeing the holiday season in a little bit of techie geekery. So, where are we all from? Where's the Christmas hat, Charlie Bird? The dog ate it, along with my homework. I do apologise. Okay, what do we have and where are we all? So, let's have a little look. Dublin, good evening, John. Hope you're all getting ready for the holiday season in Dublin. I hope you're very, very well. Abu Dhabi, good evening, Moxit. Hope you're well. Cams, good evening, Ian. And what do we have? Dr. Pepper Carl. Oh, okay, cool. From Mars. Well, fair play, Margot. You've got a heck of an internet connection to be getting all the way from Mars to YouTube, so good on you, sir. Mexico, Miguel, good to see you as always. And Steve from Gloucester, not too far away from me, so maybe one of these days we will get to actually have a meetup with a few different peeps from over in the UK. So it'll be good to do that if we can do that in the future when, it is safe to do so. So fingers crossed that'll be something that'll happen in the future. Tony B from Spain, I hope it's nice and warm over there because it's cold over here right now. Kelowna, oh okay, from British Columbia and Canada. Good evening, Laura. What's it like over there? Is it nice and warm or is it winter time over there? Let me know. Oregon, USA, from Edinburgh. See, a couple of years ago, I was up in Edinburgh, and I got to be honest, I absolutely love the city. It's a gorgeous place to visit, but very, very cold in November and December. Amsterdam, Greece, India, Mexico. Tony B, 28 degrees. Nice and warm then, fair play. For this morning, it was 1 degree, so we had a nice little frost here this morning. Alex from Kenya, good afternoon, good evening. Okay, now, before I go any further, I do want to say that tonight I am not being sponsored by my usual Brewdog. We're now being sponsored by Juicebox. If I can get that to focus. Get my face out of the way. There we go. Juicebox. And we've got Jaipur. Nice Indian Pale Ale. And one of my favourite ones, which is Sour Solstice. Which, if you've never tried this, if you like really sour things, this is one to try. Because it is sour. Another good one is one called Tart. So if you do like your sour beers, something that's a little bit of a face twister, give that one a try. Because like I say, the Sour Solstice is really nice if you like that kind of drink. So, that's that out of the way. Pascal, South Africa, 32 degrees. Wow. I'd melt. As you can tell, I'm not exactly the most tanned individual. Okay, what do we have? Boring Budweiser here. Steve, Budweiser's fine. Marco, Heineken, again, perfectly fine. Nice to see they got a shop that sells Heineken on Mars, though, so fair play. Well done on that one. Rain in Devon, Hazy Jane. See, you're not letting the side down. Fair play, Charlie, you're not letting the side down. Carl, what do you mean yuck? Don't knock it until you've tried it, sir. It's actually really quite nice. Okay, so a couple of things, like I say, triple Carmelite. Never even heard of it. Sounds strange. Okay, so franchise on Mars. It could be. You never know. These franchises do get everywhere. Good evening, Mauro. Merry Christmas, Paul. Big hug. Thanks for everything, like always. A big hug right back at you, sir. Hope you're all set for the holiday period and everything is good over there. Adam likes whiskey. That's cool. I'm not tanned either. All hail air conditioner. Not something we need very often in this country, to be honest, Pascal. Air conditioners are nice for about the 2 weeks that we have in the summer. Other than that, forget it. Laura, doing Christmas baking while I listen. What are you baking? I do like a bit of Christmas baking. I mean, around our house we've been doing... Now, this is probably going to be something that, unless you're Welsh, you probably have no idea what we're talking about, or what I'm talking about. Is a Welsh cake. It's like a very, very rich fruit cake called Barrabrith. My partner was making that yesterday for the family and the relatives. So they should be happy with that. And I have a nice little delivery off a very good friend of mine today of some nice homemade brownies and Welsh cakes. So, quid's in, that's all I'm saying. No aircon companies in Wales. No, we just opened the door, Charlie. Double pale ale from Pelican Brewery on Oregon coast, Gerald. Ooh, sounds good to me. Sounds good. Oh, cherry cheesecake, ginger cookies and shortbread. Laura, how long does a flight take to get to Canada? Because that sounds amazing. Okay, so enough food talk out of the way for at least the next 5 minutes before we start talking more about food. Just want to say thank you very much for joining me tonight. I know it's a bit of a last minute kind of thing. I'm pretty sure it's only the sort of hardcore WP crew are probably going to be here tonight because, let's be honest about it, it is the day before Christmas or whatever you kind of celebrate. So I'm not expecting to have loads of people in tonight, which is perfectly fine because sometimes it's just nice to get together and have a bit of a chill, a chat, and just have a little bit of a talk about all geeky stuff. Laura, maybe can you send to a PO box? If you can, I think there'll be quite a lot of deliveries going on tonight from Canada. That's all I'm going to say. So if you can, let me know, let us all know. Me first, obviously, being the person that's hosting this. And we'll get the details over to you so you can ship those out to us quite quickly if you wouldn't mind, so we can get them before New Year. Would be absolutely amazing. But anyway, enough of this silliness. Okay, so one of the things that I want to sort of talk about tonight is I was watching Adam's video earlier on about WordPress 5.6 and also the sort of like very early releases of this sort of global or entire site editing capability. I've got a couple of links. They're in the description of the video, and I'll pull those up on screen in a moment for where you can sort of find out a little bit more about that. But it kind of got me thinking a little bit about 2021, and maybe we need to look a little bit beyond some of the tools that we're currently using and rely on, things like Elementor, things like, Brizy, things like that. Because as I spoke about last week in the Lockdown Live, they're not always the right tools. WordPress isn't always the right tool, but sometimes if you're going to use WordPress and you want something that's quite light and quite easy, tools like Elementor, Brizy, Divi, all those kinds of things, they bring a certain amount of weight with them. And maybe we do need to start taking a look at the block editor side of things. So, I haven't really taken too much notice of it. Like I say, I took a look at the video earlier on, got me interested in some of the things that you can do with it. So, would you find it something that would be useful in 2021 to take a look at two things? One, how we can start to use and make tools like Gutenberg useful, because at the moment, doesn't matter what you say about Gutenberg and the different things that it can kind of do, at its very basic form, it is pretty limited. It's not the most intuitive tool, but if you want to create something a little bit more comprehensive, a little bit more feature-rich, you kind of have to start adding extra tools into it to make it more usable. But this kind of makes me just think, is it worth taking a look at this in 2021 to see what tools are out there that actually start to make it useful and make it something you could probably even use for various different projects, or at least parts of projects? Because You don't always need a page builder to do every part of your site, but you might need it for some parts. So this is kind of leads into you could hybrid approach it, as it were. Let me know in the chat. And the other thing I was kind of looking at is there is a good integration between the block editor and ACF, you know, the sort of way you can work between the two. So would you find it useful for me to take a look at maybe creating some just introduction content to how you can use ACF alongside the block editor with Gutenberg and so on, and sort of combine those two tools together? I know that's picking up traction. I know a lot of people like these kinds of approaches with ACF and Gutenberg. So I would like to know what you think of that, whether you think it's something that would have mileage and you'd be interested in taking a look at it. So please do let me know in the chat if this is something you'd like to take a look at, and I'll take a look then if there's enough interest in 2021. I just put some basic content together, some just introduction content to it. Not going to go into tons and tons of detail because it's not really what my focus is, but I would still like to know what you think. So please do let me know in the chat. Okay, let's have a little look at what you guys are saying. I'm sure we're still going to be talking about cheesecakes and so on. So if it is, that's perfectly fine. Okay, so what do we have? Richard, good evening. Glad you could make it even just for a short while, sir. This isn't going to be a long live stream tonight because at the end of the day, I've still got things I've got to do. I've got a couple of beers I want to drink. I've got some cookies and some brownies there waiting for me. And I think my other half will probably kill me if I spend the entire night sat in front of a screen. So this won't be a long one, so don't worry too much. So let's start nerdy stuff. Do you believe in WAS as a model? Maybe. We'll talk about that a bit later. Okay, let's have a little look. What else do we have? Right. I was told you skip snacks. Don't think cheesecake would last in the mail, but the cookies would. That's okay. It's a risk we're all willing to take. Laura, we can take the risk. Don't worry. Don't worry about us. We're fine. Just ship them out. It's good. It's all good. Okay. Richard, I'd rather see Brizy Cloud content. I'll still be doing stuff on Brizy Cloud anyway, because I do think Brizy Cloud is something that I really, really like. The platform, the concept behind it. You know that I've created some content on it in the past, but what kind of content would you like to see on it, Richard? Again, let me know in a little bit more detail, whether you do it now, you know, if you're around long enough to do it, or if not, excuse me, pop it into the Facebook group, or, you know, pop it into the comment section below. I do check those things out. So if you do want to see more content like that, you know, Brizy Cloud and so on, what kind of things would you like to see? Let me know. And this goes for everybody, not just Richard tonight. Let's have a little look. What else do we have? It's midnight in India. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you too, sir. I hope you're having a fantastic time. Carl, you could say the same thing about Elementor. Very rarely do I stick with just LE Expert plugin. 99% of the time I install at least another 5 or 6 plugins to expand the capabilities. Exactly. I mean, I think it's really pretty rare that you're going to have a copy of WordPress and 1 or 2 plugins. You're always going to end up installing those security plugins, your SEO plugin, page builder if you want to use it. There's going to be those core plugins that you install. But putting a page builder on top of all that brings with it its own kind of, you know, weight, should we say. As we know, you know, any kind of website using WordPress and any kind of page builder, no matter how good the page builder is, they do slow the site down, regardless of what anybody might say to you. They do slow the site down. They do have an impact. Blocks, you know, because Gutenberg is kind of built into WordPress from the kind of ground up, it is a little bit lighter a lot of the time, but also it doesn't have as many features. This is kind of like you say, I'm just chucking ideas around because I do like to get your feedback to sort of say, what do you think is something you'd like to see in the future? What other kind of content you'd like to take a look at, and what you'd like me to take a look at? So let me know. Let me, you know, as always. Pascal, all of it would be useful. More options, the better. I agree. I mean, at the end of the day, as I've sort of said in the past many times, there's no one size fits all for a particular kind of project. You know, we need to have whatever tool fits the job. You know, whatever your tools you need to build the site that the client needs, or that you need if you are the client, should we say. You just choose the right tools for it. Like I say, Elementor isn't always the right tool. WordPress isn't always the right tool. You pick the right tools. But having that knowledge, I think this is kind of more where I kind of come from, is having that knowledge of these different tools, that when a situation arises, you can say, well, this is the better tool than this one, because you have at least a fundamental knowledge of various different kinds of tools in your toolbox. And that's kind of why I'm very much for having a toolbox, basically having lots of different tools that you can call upon to do any kind of job, and knowing them well enough, even if you don't know if for specific use cases, but knowing them well enough to be able to choose the right tool to be able to, build the website that you need. So that's kind of where I'm coming from when I'm talking about Gutenberg and blocks and ACF integrations and those kinds of things. Pascal, why does your other half not join us? Because she's actually out at the moment. She's popped out to go and drop off a few gifts to family members, and at some point she probably will be back. And if she is, I'll ask her to pop her head in and bring Bert in so she can and he can come and say hello. Okay. Oh. Alf Eugenio, Merry Christmas to everyone. Hi Paul, I am here. Good evening, Alf. Great to see you here tonight. I hope you're well, and I hope you're all set to have a fantastic Christmas. Steve, going to attempt to make the wife cocktails later. You're a brave man. I'm just going to open up now a can of my very sour solstice. If I pull some faces, you'll know that's the reason why. Oh my god. Oh. Michael. Oh, wow. I noticed there are a couple of CrocoBlock Gutenberg related updates this week. I think CrocoBlock are definitely going down the right route, because they're not just limiting themselves to working inside Elementor. None of us know the future of Elementor, where they brought out cloud. I know there's the conversations, and I know Verdi put out a very long sort of list of answers to questions in the last live stream, so that was very kind of him to take the time out to do that. But at the end of the day, we never know 100% what's in the future of any tool. What they say now, or what anybody says now, can change as circumstances change in the future. The landscape is never, perfect. You can never see the entire landscape, shall we say. So you never know exactly what's going to happen in 2, 3, 5, 10 years' time. So I think the fact that the developers over at CrocoBlock are taking the time to start making a lot of their plugins work alongside Gutenberg is the right approach. So yes, you are right. They have brought out a couple of updates. They've started to make Jet Smart filters, I think, and Jet Search have had updates to make them work better with Gutenberg. And again, I think if they can start to build a good solid integration between tools like Jet Engine and Jet Smart Filters and Jet Search and so on with Gutenberg as it matures, especially now that they're opening up this entire site building tool set, should we say, I think we've got to look at it. We've got to sort of embrace it, whether we embrace it now or in the future. The fact of the matter is Gutenberg is unfortunately here to stay, whether we like it or not. So I think I need to take a little look at it to see, just to sort of quell my own curiosity, I'll say, just to see what it's like. You never know, I might like it. So far, I really don't find Gutenberg particularly intuitive. I don't really like working with it, but I can really see there are some benefits to being able to take some of the tools that we're used to working with and use them with Gutenberg instead of necessarily relying upon using them with Elementor. So that's kind of where I'm going with it. So Michael, you are right. There have been some updates recently with regards to CrocoBlock and Gutenberg. And the other thing I want to sort of say is that there will be some new content, and I know Richard will be happy about this. There'll be some new content early next year to do with Jet Engine and Jet Smart Filters and Jet Search and so on, and the CrocoBlock dynamic content, because they polled the Facebook group, they polled, I think, their email list and a couple other things, and come back with 6 different topics that they want me to cover in 6 dedicated videos. So you should start to see those coming out at the beginning of 2021. So you should see some new content coming out for the Jet Engine and some of the other Jet plugins. So just so you know that. So Richard, like I say, I'm pretty sure you'll be happy knowing that's on the cards. And also, there is one full build kind of video on the cards as well. I'm kind of waiting for the CrocoBlock team to finalize what they want in this, because we've had a couple of discussions and things have changed a little bit over what they want me to cover. So once they've settled upon that, then I can take a look at actually creating that sort of full build kind of tutorial using the Jet tools. So again, Richard, I'm pretty sure you'll be happy knowing that that is coming probably in the first quarter of 2021. So okay, you wait for the complete web design course of you, Paul. Are you talking about the one we were talking about last week, the client life cycle? If you are, then there's a little bit of a sneak thing for you if you want to go over there. Let me just double check, but let me just make sure that I've got the right link, because I've already set up a pre-enrollment sort of sign-up form that you can just hop over to, and if you want to sort of subscribe to that, you'll be notified when the restricted, what's the term I'm looking for? Enrollment. Like I say, I'm only opening it up to a certain number of people for the beta testing at about a third of the cost that the course normally will be. But I am making that available quite soon. So just bear with me a second, because I want to make sure I've got the right link, and I can tell you what the link is then. And if you want to hop over there and kind of enroll to it, you are more than welcome to. Right, let me just get this right, because I've got two domains that are very, very close to each other, and I keep getting the wrong one. But like I say, you can go over and pre-enroll for this if you want to. Okay, so if you are interested in the course I'm talking about, if you go over to freelancefriday.tv/course, you can drop in your name and your email address, and you'll be notified then as soon as that course is available for pre-enrollment. Like I say, it will be limited number, restricted numbers for the pre-enrollment, like we talked about last week. But if you, like I say, if you want to pop over to freelancefriday.tv/course, you can drop your name and your email address in there, and then you'll be notified as soon as that is actually open for pre-registrations. So hopefully that will help. Yanis, are you still working together with CrocoBlock for creating educational videos? Yeah, I think I just answered that question. Yes, I am definitely still working with them. We're just signing up for another 6 videos alongside the long form video, which will be like a complete big build tutorial, probably run about an hour and a half plus for that kind of video. I'm just waiting for them to decide what they actually want me to cover in that, so we make sure that I cover all the bases that they're looking for. But yes, absolutely still on the cards. Hopefully I think this will be one of those relationships that will go on for a long period of time, because I think the videos have been quite well received for the content that I've created so far. And I know a lot of people appreciate the fact that I kind of go into different kinds of detail and approach it in a different manner to what CrocoBlock actually do. Like I say, my background's in teaching. I'm kind of used to doing that kind of thing, whereas their background is in development. So it's not necessarily their forte. Plus, the language barrier can be a little bit problematic. But yes, absolutely still working with them. And like I say, 6 more videos in the pipeline, and 1 long form video is definitely on the cards as well. Okay. Lillian, my mum asks, where's the promised turkey? We're still hungry. Oh, Lillian, I'm sorry, but the dog ate that along with my homework and my Santa hat. I do have a little Christmas tree though, so hopefully you can see. And I've got Noel on there as well. I don't know who Noel is, but he's on the tree. So I do apologise, Lillian, but the dog ate it. And he's only a little dog, but he's only a little chicken. Turkey. Okay. Do I plan to develop WordPress plugins in the future? No. To be honest, the simple answer is no. I've got no kind of plugins that I would want to develop. It's not something that I'm skilled in. It's not something that I can see any real niche for something that I would want to create. But never say never. You know, it might be one of those things that I see an opportunity in the future, pair up with either a developer or development team and maybe look into something. But right now, I've got no plans for that. I've got no real reason to do it. Paul K. Good evening, and not a problem for being late. As long as you've got a beer in a hand and an excuse for being late, then there's no problem at all. If you don't have either, you probably want to leave now. That's what I'm going to say. That's what I'm saying. Okay. What else do we have? Well, these comments are flying in. Let's have a little look. Jet booking appointment plugins from Croco could be so powerful, but so limited right now. It's not something that I really use too much. I don't really deal with appointments, so I've never really had much of a use to get stuck into it. But, you know, again, it's one of those things, the more I work with CrocoBlock, the more different sort of things come up. I might actually take a look at doing something with it in the future, but it's not something that I really have. It's not where I was kind of going. Like I say, my passion, my skill set, my knowledge is more in the dynamic content side of things, and I think Jet Engine and the smart filters and those kinds of things are probably the stronger topic for me. But like I say, never say never, Joe. You know, it might be one of those things that in the future I've got a reason to take a look at doing that, whether from a personal point of view or from a point of view of CrocoBlock wanting me to create some content on it. You know, if you'd like to see more on, you know, Jet booking, let the team over CrocoBlock know that you'd like me to create some content on it, and we can take a look at doing something along those lines. So please do that, Joe, if you're interested. Okay, WPTuts University. Cool. You never know. All right, let's have a little look. Where are we? Register. Thank you very much, Pascal. Great to hear. Steve Pro, thank you very much. Thanks for registering. No problem at all. So thank you very much, everybody. Thanks, Carl, for dropping in the details. You were an absolute star, as always. Like I say, this is... I mean, I know we talked about the course in last week's live stream, and I know we sort of talked about how it's all going to work. But what I'll also do, when the pre-enrollment kind of is ready to go online, which will be in the new year now, because like I say, I'm not going to really do too much over the Christmas period. What I'll do in there is I'll give you a course outline, which may still change. You know, none of this is written in stone. The whole point of being part of one of the early adopters of the course is that you help shape the future direction. So what I think should be included, you might have different ideas, and all of you might have different ideas, at which point we'll modify what the course outline is. But I'll be putting the syllabus up on there, so at least it'll give you an overview of the core processes that I will be covering in the course, and some of the sort of sub sections of each one of those different processes. So you should have a good understanding of how it'll all work and what will be included in it. But like I say, once you're subscribed to that mailing list, you'll be notified as soon as the pre-registration or pre-enrollment phase is available, and you can grab that. And I'm hoping that I won't open that up until the first 2 modules are included, so at least you'll have something to get your teeth stuck into straight away for the point of purchasing and enrolling in that sort of like early adopters part of the course. You know, that's the kind of plan with it. That's why I'm not opening it up yet. It's because I want to make sure that the first couple of modules are there, so you've got something straight away to see A, the quality, B, the type of content, and C, start to get involved in the feedback process. And I'm also going to have a dedicated platform. I'm still looking at what platform to use, but it won't be Facebook. A dedicated platform for people that enroll on the course to be able to provide feedback on the modules, feedback on the future of it, ideas, suggestions, questions, all those kinds of things will be included in that platform as well. I'm just kind of looking at what's the best platform to do something like this. I don't want to use Facebook for various different reasons, because I want everything to be contained in its own dedicated platform, which means then that I've got full control over it, and I'm not at the mercy or the whims of how Facebook or any other kind of platform like that might decide to change things in the future. So that's the kind of plan, and that's how we're going to kind of go with it. So, oh cool. Let's have a little look. Noel means Christmas, Paul. Oh, okay, and there's me thinking it was just Noel Edmonds. If you're not from the UK, that probably won't mean anything to you, so I do apologise. Good man, I see Paul K has got lots of Brewdog. Tonight, Paul, we're not on the Brewdog. This is a Brewdog free zone. Tonight, I'm on the Sour Solstice right now. So if you like your sour drinks, that's a good one. Very sour. Pascal, that's very kind of you to say. Just do the whole CrocoBlock to be better than most. What do you mean most? I should be better than everybody. No, I am. The thing is, though, it's just one of those things that I've kind of found with a lot of the CrocoBlock stuff. You know, the things I don't cover, I don't really use them. And that's probably why I don't really want to cover them too much, because I think a lot of those kind of tools are fairly self-explanatory if you've used, you know, different plugins. Like, for example, the blog side of things, that's not particularly complicated. I can understand with the appointments and the calendar kind of thing, because there is a sort of like a dynamic integration between the two of those, between Jet Engine or possibly ACF. I haven't looked in if you can use ACF with it. So there is a kind of a dynamic link there. But most of the other things that they have, I don't really find there's much of a dynamic link there. So I'm not really that excited by it. That's kind of probably why I haven't really looked into it in too much detail. Oh, good question. Okay, Mastigma. What are the top three features you feel are missing from Elementor? Good question. I'm going to throw that out to everybody. What's everybody else's 3 top features that you think are missing from Elementor? I know one of those is definitely going to be, what do you call it? What's the term I'm looking for? The different page break things. Not page breaks. I know what I'm talking about anyway. Good question. I think one of the biggest things for me that's missing is the ability to edit the loop. You don't have loop editing facilities built in there. That's why you've got to use a tool like Elementor Custom Skin. That needs to be built in, regardless of whatever else they build in there. Breakpoints is the term I was looking for earlier. I think we definitely need more control over more of WooCommerce. In other words, we need to be able to edit the checkout pages. We need to edit the cart page. We need to edit the account section, so we have full control over that. I know there are third-party plugins out there like Woolentor and Elementor that do that side of things. But again, I still think that you should have a lot of these things should be integrated into the core of Elementor, because they basically give us half a tool where we can edit the archive page and the single post page and those kinds of things. But we can't edit the other sections of it, so we can half customize what we want, but then we have to install third-party plugins to get the last part. What else would I say is missing? Global style kits, or the theme styles that are in there. That should be something you can have multiple theme styles and you could apply it to different parts of your site. Now, this was kind of brought home to me when I did one of the video tutorials on creating one of the custom dashboards. I think it might have been the WooCommerce one or one of those. And it was really frustrating for the fact that the dashboard wanted to be styled differently. So I'd have a different header in there, a different footer in there, and various different styles. But I really just wanted to have a different theme style kit, whatever they call it, so I could just set everything that would configure inside there that would be independent of the theme style that was for the rest of the site. So for me, those are probably the 3 things that I would say are missing right now for me. The ability to customize the loop, more WooCommerce customization options, and the ability to have multiple theme styles. Those are my 3. But what are yours? You tell me. What's everybody else's top 3 things you think are missing from Elementor right now, and what would you like to see? Steve Pro, another beer opened. Good man. I'm glad to hear it. God knows where this is going to end up in about an hour's time. I don't think there's going to be much sense going on. Let's have a little look. Register and another beer. Charlie Bird, good man, good man. Joe, I'm pretty fluent already in booking plus appointment, but they need more development from Croco. I wait patiently. Thanks anyway for the idea, though. No problem at all. And thank you very much for your feedback. Like I say, absolutely, I love your feedback. It does help shape what we do on the future, in the future on the channel. Okay, something on dropshipping. I've looked into dropshipping and I've looked into those kinds of websites in the past, and I don't know, dropshipping is one of those things that's filled with so many potholes, so many issues, that while the software isn't particularly difficult, it can be a bit of a pain in the bum to build an effective business doing dropshipping, especially in the UK. So I can't say that I won't do it, but it's not high on my priority list right now, I'm afraid. Steve, thank you very much for the super chat. Beer tokens only. That's fine. Beer tokens are absolutely spot on. They won't go to waste. Thank you very much, young man. Yanis, do I believe themes are dead? No, I don't believe themes are dead. And I'll tell you why. I think themes are only dead if you are someone that's comfortable working with tools like, Beaver Themer, probably Divi now as well, Elementor Pro, Brizy to a lesser extent right now, but that's going to change, I think, in the near future. And also with WordPress itself, giving you the whole site editing tools. I don't see that coming out for a while because I think it's still very early in its development cycle. But we know it's on the cards. We know it's coming. It's already available if you want to test it out. Like I say, links are in the description if you want to take a look at that. But for the average user that doesn't really want to do any of that, they literally just want to get a site up online quickly with a design that looks nice and then put their own content into it, I think themes still absolutely have a place in that market. So I think we are probably looking at it from a different point of view to the average person that just wants to get a website up online quickly. They don't want to go to Wix or Squarespace or something like that. They want to use WordPress so they get control over it. That's where themes, I think, are a really useful tool for those kinds of people. For everybody else, people like us that's happy to use page builders and these other things, then I would say for those kinds of people, to a large extent, yes, they probably are dead. So I think it's probably a split market. Probably an 80-20 market. Probably 80% of people would be happy with the theme. 20% of people are more developer and design orientated, and they're quite happy to get stuck in and design the various different aspects of a site for themselves using tools like I mentioned, like page builders and so on. So that's what I would say anyway, Yanis. So hopefully that will answer that question and give you my opinion. But what do you think? Do you think they're dead, or do you kind of still think there's mileage in them, or are you kind of along the same lines as me? That split is there for people that just want ease versus people that want control. You tell me. And same goes for everybody else. You tell me, what do you think? Yeah, exactly, Carl. That's right. We both use the Hello theme, and probably a lot more people do use the Hello theme now. And that, as we know, you call it the Hello theme, but the reality is it's just there to keep WordPress happy, because WordPress just needs to have a theme installed and active so it can work. I know you can use the Elementor toolkit, and you can kind of basically totally bypass the entire theme engine as part of WordPress, and it's a great tool. But again, it's one of those things that you still have to install something to get rid of something, if that makes sense. So there's use cases where that's going to be the perfect option because you want to tap into some of the other things that the toolkit can do. And then there's times where that's not the perfect option. And then a tool like completely forgot what I was going to say with that then. Yeah, but anyway, like I say, when you want full control over things, there's lots of different ways to go about it. Sorry, I was kind of got sidetracked by different things that's going on in the chat, so excuse me for that. Charlie Bird, thank you very much for the super chat. Again, thank you very much. I will spend that very responsibly on more beer and cookies. Beers and cookies, because there's only thing that matters. Okay, looked at Peer Board on AppSumo. Funny enough, Els, that's exactly what was in my mind, and I am still kind of going back and forth with that to see if I think it's a good platform for using it for that. I just like the fact that you can have control of it. You can integrate it into WordPress if you want to, or kind of use it standalone. But we have control over what goes on there. I say we as in all of us can kind of have a much better repository of information, because Facebook really isn't the best for that. Facebook is very much, you can so quickly lose track of something you were looking at, come back to it a couple of days later, and it's literally hundreds of posts down. I find that really frustrating when you are looking for something specific, whereas with a kind of forum type setup, it's more permanent in the way that it's structured. So for me, something like Peerboard might be a good way of going about setting things up. So yes, Els, that is exactly what I'm looking at. So 10 out of 10 for being on the ball as always. And speaking of Els, can everybody just say thank you very much for Els, because she's been absolutely amazing as part of the WP crew. And if I'm honest, I think Els has probably had a massive impact upon how successful and how much of a fantastic place the WP Crew Facebook group actually is. So I want to just take this couple of seconds to say, Els, you have been an absolute gem over the last year, 18 months, getting involved and being such a fantastic, supportive individual as part of the WP Crew. So a big thank you very, very much from me, and I'm sure many, many other people in here tonight and also in the WP Crew Facebook group. Thank you for the time and effort you take to find and come up with so many solutions and answers to so many people's questions. So thank you very much. I'm going to raise a little drink. Okay, let's have a little look. What else do we have? custom breakpoints. I think that's probably one of the things that so many people want. And I know the recent sort of answer with regards to why it hasn't been integrated into Elementor before now is they want to make sure that it is integrated perfectly, and there's so many different underlying reasons why there could be problems with it and all those kinds of things. And I'm sure there's some viable truth in that answer. But you could flip the coin on its head and you could say, well, if you'd integrated it much earlier, see, if you look at the very early versions, like you look at my first couple of videos, where I look at Elementor before Pro even came out, there's actually more breakpoints in there at that point. So this is something that was put in and then partially stripped out. If they put it in earlier, there would have been less working parts to the whole machine, which surely would have made it easier to integrate into the way that Elementor and Elementor Pro actually works. So that's my kind of take on it. But yeah, custom breakpoints, definitely not coming out in 3.1. So maybe this is the big thing that'll be released in version 4.0. We don't know. But right now, breakpoints ain't coming anytime soon that we know of anyway. JetWoo, or whatever they call it. Sorry, let's have a little look. Very important for me, ability to enable disabling features, widgets, etc. Yanis, I would agree with you, and I think if you've probably been in some of the earlier live streams where I talked about how I would have loved to have seen Elementor being developed in a more modular fashion, as in they developed the core of Elementor that has the things you absolutely need to build a site, and then you had, using their own API, extra modules that you could add in and enable and disable those widgets in exactly the same way that they work with third-party developers. You know, they just tap into the Elementor API and then they can sort of bolt their features onto Elementor Core or Elementor Pro or both, and then they can expand it. To me, I would have loved to have seen Elementor to be developed in that fashion from the get-go, because then you could have so much easier to have been able to enable and disable features that you do and don't want inside a build. And I would also say that because you tap into the API and you are making those calls, you could have made those various different files that are used in the different widgets, modules, whatever they are, they could have been unloaded, therefore streamlining how Elementor would work, therefore making it lighter and ultimately, hopefully, faster. Unfortunately, that's not the way they developed it. So I think we're going to be out of luck with the enabling and disabling features unless they kind of went right back to the beginning and did a core rebuild, which I don't see them doing anytime soon, because I just don't think it would be financially viable them to go back and just rebuild the core and then build a different infrastructure for the plugin and all the different features that are there. But like I say, for me, I would have loved to have seen it being built that way from the beginning, because I think it just would have been a much more flexible architecture, and I think it would have just been so much easier to expand and also contract what Elementor and Elementor Pro actually do for a given project. That's kind of what I think. But Yanis, as always, great comment. Ferdy, thank you very much. Good evening. I hope you're well and looking forward to having a fantastic Christmas with your family. It's nice to see you dropping in here. So if everybody would like to say hello to Ferdy, it's great to see you in our live chat tonight. So thank you very much for everything you do for the WordPress community as well. You're an absolute gem. So thank you very much. And I hope you've got a beer in hand. Matt, is this a podcast yet? Oh, good. Is everybody ganging up on me tonight or something? Is this have you got a beer, Matt? Have you got a beer? If not, go and get a beer and stop talking about podcasts. Maybe in the future. Michael, you're just such a star. So thank you very much. Okay. What else do we have? Pascal, the split is definitely there. I see it clearly in the market. I think we're still talking about the sort of themes. Are they dead yet? And I think you're definitely right. I think that's one of those things that is absolutely the case. There's always going to be a big market to people that just want to have a theme for ease. And that's it. It's just to be easy. They don't want to have to go to the hassle of having to install loads and loads of different things and design themes and deal with headers and footers, because it just doesn't mean anything to a lot of people. I think if you're a developer kind of person or designer kind of person, that's great. But I think if you're not, you just want to create something quickly, then I think themes are definitely still the way to go about doing it. And there's so many great themes. I mean, if you look at Blocksy, for example, which incidentally, they do have a Christmas offer on, so go and take a look at Blocksy. Sergio asked me to sort of just mention that, so take a little look if you haven't already, because there is an offer on there with the Blocksy Pro. But Blocksy is a great theme. You've got, Astra's a great theme. You've got, what's the one that everybody's talking about right now? I could never think of the name of it. There are just so many great themes out there that give you as much control and flexibility as you want, whilst kind of giving you the flexibility to be able to design almost anything. I mean, Astra's a great sort of proponent of that. If you take a look at the starter themes, there's some really great designs in the starter themes, and it just kind of shows you what you can actually create without any real technical knowledge. And I think that's where themes come in. Fast development. If you're working with clients, you don't always have the time, they don't always have the budget, and they don't always want something complicated. So sometimes the theme is the right way to go about it, because you can quickly install, set it up, configure it, you can customize it to a certain extent, and then you can give that to the client. And like I say, if they don't have a massive budget, that's a quick and easy way to get a fast turnaround and still give them a really good looking site that works well straight out of the box. And like I say, tools like Astra, Ocean WP, Blocksy, all those kinds of themes are great starting points for that kind of thing. Let's have a little look. Great to see some love for Els in the chat. So, like I say, Els has been an absolute star, and don't think the WP Crew Facebook group would be what it is without her involvement and input. So, like I say, I am eternally grateful for what you do around there, and I'm sure so many other people are, because I think you've just given so much amazing support. So thank you very much again. Okay. Okay, so this is Joe. I need Elementor to not have glitches where I can not drop widgets exactly where I need them, and I need to try 5 times to move it around. I can agree with you on that one. Yep, there's definitely some glitchiness going on in various different builds of Elementor. I don't know if anyone still has the same issue as me, but I was having a lot of problems over a couple of different sort of versions where I'd sort of go and change the page layout, so going from the normal page layout to, for example, the sort of blank canvas or sort of full width kind of thing, and nothing would happen. I'd literally have to save the page, reload the Elementor editor, and then it would actually stick. But there's also a lot of times that even once I'd done that, I'd make changes to the page, and then I'd save or update that page, and it would go back to the old layout, even though all the layout that I put, all the widgets, all the structure was in place, but it had lost the page template kind of thing, so I'd have to go back and do it again. And that's, I haven't checked in the last week or two, but that was going on for quite some time. So this isn't something that's just literally sort of popped out of the blue. This is something that's actually been going on for a while. So yeah, I agree, there are definitely some glitches that need to be ironed out, Joe. WP Tonic. Is there a WordPress-based alternative to BuddyBoss you can recommend? I'm not really 100% sure what BuddyBoss is, so let me know what BuddyBoss is, and I'll see if I know anything that I'd recommend on it. So let me know, WP Tonic, what it is exactly. Okay. This is in answer to Yanis. So Michael says, have a look at Panel Pal for enabling and disabling features. It only works with certain add-ons and is only version 1.1, but could be promising. Now, I did do a video a little while back of a plugin that allows you to disable, actually, I'm pretty sure that Toolbox for Elementor actually allows you to disable various different Elementor widgets and features. Pretty sure that's on the cards there with one of the latest versions, maybe the latest build, maybe the one before it. So maybe take a little look at that and see if there's an option there to disable things, because that might be something that you find useful in the future as well. So that'd be quite cool if it's any good to you. Have a check on that as well, Yanis. That might be something that's could do what you want. Okay. What else do we have? Cadence. Thank you very much, Rob. That's exactly what it is. For some reason, I'm just having a complete utter mind blank on so many things tonight. And I tell you now, it's nothing to do with the beer, because literally that is my second one. So I know it's not the beer. Hendrico, love from South Africa, bro. Thank you very much, and love back to South Africa to you, and I hope you're well and looking forward to holidays. So, thank you very much. Cadence, yep, it is Cadence. Okay, what we have? Charlie Bird. When I started learning web stuff 10 months ago, I watched a couple of Americans for a bit, but then came across you and Ferdy, the only two people I think newbies like me need. Well, that's very nice. I'm not going to ask you who those Americans were. But it's one of those things that I think everyone has a different approach to teaching, and everyone has a different way of learning. And I know that for me, coming from a background of actually, physically teaching people, I think this is where Dave Foy is such a good teacher as well. I kind of come from that background of actually being in a room with people, talking to people, and helping people from that point of view. And I think there's a difference, because there's things like, there was terms like keep it simple. There's things like never assume prior knowledge. Things like terminology. And people might say that some of my tutorials, I talk too much in them, or they're too wordy or whatever. But the fact of the matter is, if you know what the terminology means, it probably might be a little too wordy. But if you don't know what the terminology means, and I assume you do, that can screw up the entire tutorial. If you're dealing with something that's maybe an hour long, if I don't explain what I'm talking about at the beginning, by the time you get 30 minutes into it, 40 minutes into it, you have no idea what I'm doing, because you just didn't get your head around the fundamental, because I assumed you know what I'm talking about. And I think that's probably why maybe there's a difference between some people that teach, not restricted to the WordPress kind of era, sort of like topic either. I'm talking in anything. Some people impart knowledge in an understandable way, some people don't. Some people like the way that one educator will teach, another person won't. And I think that's the beauty of something like YouTube. There's Ferdy, there's so many different people that are out there doing a great job, but not everybody is for everybody. There's a nice big overlap. But there are so many people out there that are learning, and like I say, you're going to find people that you resonate with, you're going to find people you just don't resonate with. And I think that's just human nature. So I'm glad that, whoever's in tonight and whoever follows the channel enjoys the way that I might impart knowledge. And the same goes for Ferdy, and the same goes for Adam, and and for Dave. We've all got our own styles. We've all got our own ways of doing things. And I think that's the thing that's nice. As people that are learning, and I'm one of them. I mean, there's lots of things that I want to know about, and I turn to YouTube for all these different things. And I think this is the beauty of it. Some people I will watch over and over and over, and even if I'm not learning something from them, I just enjoy watching their content, even if I've got no interest in what it is they're talking about. But it's because I like their way of delivering, I like their way of teaching, their way of imparting knowledge. And I think that's the same across the board with everything. So I'm really pleased that you do like the way that I do things, and I'm sure there are plenty of people that don't like the way that I do things. But that's life, and that's the beauty of having an open market like something like YouTube. You're there to do, you can pay your money, as it were, and take your choice. Anyway, what do we have? I'm not going to pop up some of these things on you, but I will just say, and we love the fact that you do love doing it, else. So there's a lot of love in you for else tonight. So just awesome. Do I know a good WooCommerce shipping label plugin? Yes, I do. What's it called? I think if you do a search for WooCommerce PDF labels and like delivery notes, I think it is. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head. It is something like that. WooCommerce shipping notes and delivery notes, something like that. It'd probably be the first one that comes up on there. I've used that on client sites. I've used it on my own sites, and it works perfectly fine. If you can't find it, drop a comment in the comment section below, or hop over to the WP Crew Facebook page, link in the bottom corner, that side. I'll just leave a little note in there, and I'll find the link to it, and I'll just pop that on there and just let you know where it is. But that's a pretty good one. Like I say, I've used it a couple of times in various different projects. It's always been really good. So check that one out. Thank you very much that you do love the tutorials every time. It's very nice that you say that. Okay, Elstech, the plugin you won't mention, add-ons lets you disable Elementor widgets. Okay, the funny thing was, we had this conversation, I think, in the last live stream. Only reason I don't mention e-add-ons, and I'll be open up front about this, is because I have a relationship with Giovanni and some of the other people over at Dynamic Content for Elementor. Knowing what was kind of going on there behind the scenes, I just said that I just don't want to get involved in the drama, and therefore I won't stop anybody talking about any of the plugins on WP Crew, sharing information on there. You could do what you want with it. All I said was that I just don't want to get involved in it, so I won't comment. And that's it. That's the only reason why. So if anybody wonders why I don't mention or recommend e-add-ons, it's not because I have no sort of like, what can I say? I just don't want to get involved with it. I just want to stay out of it. It's nothing to do with me, and I just stay out of it. So, but everybody can talk about what they want. And Joe, you've been a naughty boy. And Charlie, so are you. No, stop it now. Okay, let's have a little look what other questions we have. Thank you, Pascal. I hope it does. I think it's one of those things. I think it is useful to have at least some experience of that, because it just means that you do have some of those key things. If they've been a mechanic, if you don't have the core skills, then it doesn't matter how good you are afterwards, you're still kind of missing something. And I think that something is the thing that helps you create content that hopefully will help people in the easiest fashion going. And like I say, I'm sure most of you know that when I kind of create content, I just like to explain why I do something, because I don't think there's any point in learning parrot fashion. And by parrot fashion, I just mean if I say click this, click this, click this, click this, click this, click this, and that happens, you don't understand why you've done those first 6 clicks. But if I explain to you what those different settings mean and why clicking them does something, hopefully by the end of those 6 clicks you understand why I've chosen those options, and it means then that when it comes to you doing it and it falls outside the topic that I've used to cover that particular skill, you kind of know what the heck it is I'm talking about, and therefore you can kind of make more informed decisions. That's just the way that my brain says that it makes sense. That's how it works with me. That's kind of why I've done it. So like I say, hopefully it is one of those things that does make, working with things and watching the tutorials just makes it a little bit easier to understand what it is I'm talking about. Okay, let's have a little look. Speaking of cadence, do you have any plans to do a quick video on it? The header builder looks particularly interesting. 2 things to that, Rob. One, I don't really cover themes too much on the channel because I kind of feel like, because I use the hello theme for most of the kind of content that I create, and a lot of what I do is showing you how to build things for yourself from scratch, it doesn't really fit into the channel kind of core. But that being said, I mean, if enough people are interested in me taking a look at things like cadence and Blocksy and so on, then I'll take a look at creating content on those and take a look at them. I like the way that the page builder that works, so the page builder, the header and footer builder works. I think there's a lot of different themes now are using that kind of core concept, and it does open up some extra options because it means that you don't have to rely upon a page builder, but you can still create custom headers and footers, and then you could use like Gutenberg blocks, for example, to get a bit more creative with the design layout. So again, if enough people are interested, let me know in the chat, let me know in the comment, let me know on the Facebook group, because you all help shape what I do in the future. So if enough people are interested, then by all means I will definitely take a look at doing something. And Carl, you are again an absolute star. It is print invoice and delivery notes for WooCommerce. So that's the plugin that I've used on quite a few different projects and personal sites, and it's always worked really, really well. There's a pro version, but to be honest, for most of us, we don't need the pro version. We can quite happily get away with the free version. Now, Joe, by WAS, explain to me what you mean by WAS. Now, I know SaaS is software as a service, but the W, and again, it could be down to the drink, but I can't remember what it is. Okay. Ernesto, I really enjoy your tuts. Let's say you've been improving a lot since I follow you. Well, thank you very much. And like I say, if you're improving and it's taking you in a direction you want to go in, then my job is absolutely being done. So thank you very much for that. And like I say, long may it continue. Zaki, if I've said that right, I hope so. Thanks, Paul. I love WordPress and I met on CrocoBlock because of you. Oh, I should get paid by them, shouldn't I, for doing this? They should be paying me money for selling their products. But no, great to hear that you actually you are enjoying using those tools, because I think as a combination of tools, you can create some truly amazing designs, websites, whatever you want to kind of call them. That gives you a really solid foundation to do a lot of amazing work without actually breaking the bank. If you look at something like the expert plan from Elementor, and for example, if you went with the expert plan or whatever they kind of call it with CrocoBlock, if you spent, about $400, $500, something like that per year, I mean, let's be honest about it, you could easily make that money back on one job and then be into profit, but you could create such amazing websites with that combination. I wish when I was doing this on a more full-time basis that I'd had access to tools that would make it that straightforward to be able to create platforms that are that powerful. I think I would have had an absolute whale of a time. And it's kind of why I enjoy doing what I do now with the dynamic content, because when you just see what you can do with these tools, it's kind of mind-blowing. I know $500, and I'm plucking figures out of the air, it might be a little bit more, might be a little bit less. But I know like $500 to be able to have that much flexibility and those amazing tools in your toolbox, and what you can create with them is just absolutely amazing. And like I say, when you think you've got not just like Jet Engine, you've got all the other tools that are part of the CrocoBlock suite, full filtering, searching, all those kinds of things. You can create some amazingly powerful websites. You could be charging, obviously depending where you are in the world, but thousands, if not tens of thousands of pounds or dollars to create totally bespoke websites just using that set of 3 tools. That's pretty amazing to think of. But to answer your question, Zach, to go back to your comment, thank you very much. I'm glad that this is a kind of like giving you the tools to create more things. So awesome stuff. Okay, which one holds more weight, the page builder or the theme? Excuse me. I think it probably depends upon how you use it. Each one's going to be different. Every one of these is going to have different resources, different uses, different. I call it weight because at the end of the day, it's all file size and so on. Excuse me. So generally, I would say, unless you've got a really bloated theme, probably the page builder, because especially if you have we'll use Elementor as an example because it's kind of what most of us are probably going to be used to. But because you've got Elementor and Elementor Pro with upwards of about 70 widgets, plus all the different things that they've kind of got on the theme builder and all those kinds of things, there's quite a large amount of files and resources going to be used just to load that into a page. Whereas the theme, if it's not a crazy heavy duty theme, like going back to some of the themes you used to buy from a theme forest, which were massively bloated beasts, which a lot of those would include some kind of page building type of tools in there. They'd have Visual Composer in there, they'd have Slider Revolution and a Forms plugin and all those kinds of different things as part of it to actually get full use out of it. They would be massive, and they would be slow. So I think it probably comes out, if you looked at a sort of theme like, let's just say Astra, for example, versus Elementor, I would say probably Astra is going to be lighter, but if you need that ability to be able to create more custom sites, then you kind of need to have the theme and your page builder together. So I would probably say generally, for most cases these days, the page builder is probably going to be a little heavier if you're running the Pro version. That's probably what I would say, but it's still a use-by-use case basis. Some are going to be different. So kind of hope that helps a little bit. Okay, so Joe, to go back to that question you asked me about the WAS, rented out websites. Look, I think if you're using this as a business model and you get people on board and the model works for you, then I would say absolutely go for it. I've got no strong objections to any kind of business model as long as it works. When it comes to renting out a website, the difficulty is you need to make sure that you cover your initial costs. The last thing you want is to sign someone up, put a pile of work in, and then a month later they're gone. So you ideally want to tie them into at least a 12-month contract. Maybe take a deposit and then sort of have a rolling contract, whatever you kind of want to do with it. But I don't have any strong objections to it. Like I say, it all comes down to how you set the business model up. And as long as the business model works, it makes you money. And as you build up a bigger clientele, if you have 5 clients paying $100 a month, it's not a great income. But when you have 1,000, websites, clients on a monthly retainer kind of thing, a monthly subscription service, then it's a nice income. But obviously you need to scale up, support, people to actually build the sites in the first place. So it all comes down to building that solid core foundation to that business model. And as long as the figures stack up and the business model works, then I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's working for companies like Wix and Squarespace and those kinds of things. So the model has legs as long as you can automate as much as you can of it. I mean, that's where the benefit of sites like Wix and Squarespace. It doesn't require a person to set up, install and maintain the website. Support is there, and that's kind of what they're paying for, is the platform and the support. And the same kind of thing goes with Webflow. I mean, that's another good example of it. So I don't see there's a problem with it. It's just making sure you set the business model up from the onset to be a solid business model that allows for scaling moving forward into the future, because that's kind of where you're going to find you build poor foundations. When you scale, things are just going to fall apart, and then you could get yourself into some real problems. So get the foundations right, and if that business model is the one you want to follow, go for it. Carl Garside, super chat, £5 from Carl Garside at WPTuts, 7 p.m, 1 hour, buddy. He's a hard taskmaster, I tell you. He's an absolute hard taskmaster. We're going to go till 7:30 tonight, and then we're going to call it a day. So Carl, if you can't stick around till then, you've got family commitments and stuff, you hop on out and enjoy your Christmas with much love. Like I say, so we'll call it a day at 7:30. So we'll do a couple more questions now, and we'll go through there. But again, thank you for the super chat, Carl. You're an absolute gem. And Nathan Foley, again, super chat from Hugh as well. So thank you very much for that. That's absolutely amazeballs. And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Look forward to catching up later. Enjoy the rest of the live. Thank you very much, and enjoy your Christmas, and have a fantastic New Year if we don't get to chat prior to that. Okay, let's have a little look. We're going to do a couple more questions, and then we're going to give it a bit of a break so we can all go off and enjoy our Christmas time. Let's have a little look. Yanis, one more question. Do you believe that Elementor is more in risk from a competitor or from their own mistakes? Ooh, good question. Right at this point in time, I honestly think that Elementor is, and this is confined to the page builder market, I would say they're pretty much untouchable right now. And I don't mean like there's no one out there that could knock them off their perch, but there's nothing viable at the moment that is going to do it. So I would say that on that level, they are pretty much set where they are. They're not going to suddenly be knocked off by a competitor. So I don't think that's an issue. With regards to their own mistakes, that's a difficult one, because I think Elementor have made some mistakes over the last 18 months or 2 years. Things that I know have annoyed a lot of people, and people have hopped over to a platform like Oxygen, for example. But again, I think they've built such a, to talk about foundations again, I think they've built such a solid foundation, as so many people now build both businesses and their livelihood, whether that's they've built their own site using Elementor, around the platform, that I don't see either of those things being something that they're going to fall victim to in the short term. Long term, look, every technology, no matter what it is, will always be superseded. It's very, very rare in any kind of market that anyone that has dominant share will always keep that dominant share. I mean, if you use Apple as an example, if you look back to early days in Apple's sort of lifespan, they failed miserably. They were in a lot of debt. I mean, they sacked Steve Jobs and all those kinds of different things. But now look at them. They're one of the most lucrative companies in the entire world. So everything ebbs and flows. Are Apple going to be in that position forever? Absolutely not. They're going to go through a period of time where they release products that are maybe a little substandard. They have problems. There's going to be issues, and they will fall out of favor. And what happens then is that company in a position where they can maintain that down trajectory while they recover to go back into an upward trajectory? Elementor, you think the internet, that's a much more volatile market, because you think Elementor 4 years ago, nobody knew about them. And when they kind of came out, they were pretty low key. But now, 5-6 million installs. Now, I know that's not all pro version installs, if we said 1 million installs with pro. But that's still a pretty strong user base. But when another tool comes along, like Elementor did, that does things differently in a way that resonates with enough people, there's always the potential to lose market share. And if they can't sustain that downward trajectory, then they might disappear. And this is why I keep saying to everybody in these live streams, don't build your business on a single platform. Build your business on knowledge and learn other platforms, so if and when something happens, excuse me, you can quickly pivot to a different platform and carry on your business. All these different things, the longer you're in this, the more you'll see these things happen. Go back 5 years ago, 6 years ago, Visual Composer was the #1 page builder in the market. Was it because it was the best? Not at all. It's because it was bundled with so many themes from ThemeForest. And at that time, themes were massive. So ThemeForest and platforms like that, selling millions of dollars worth of themes every single month, year, whatever, they were all coming with Visual Composer. Now, that was okay to start off with, but ended up becoming an absolute pile of poo. So there was a massive gap in the market for a good page builder. Well, you look at Divi, you look at Beaver Builder. They were out before Elementor. So why didn't they fill the market? Why didn't they fill the gap when Visual Composer was on its downward trajectory? Because I don't think they had the vision, especially when it comes to Beaver Builder, I don't think it had the vision to go after that gaping space in the market. Divi tried to, but I think Divi lost traction because it became slow. It wasn't a particularly nice experience. When Elementor came along, they did it differently. Well, different is only different for so long before it becomes the norm. And when something else comes along that'll do it different and probably better than Elementor, and if the market share is available, there's a hole in the market for it, that'll be filled by someone else. That's just the nature of things. So that was kind of a long-winded way of answering that, Yanis, but hopefully that's kind of happened. Sorry, that's hopefully kind of answered what my thoughts are on Elementor and what I kind of think of its future kind of thing. Okay. Doug, what do we have? What about WPTuts University? There will be tests and certification at the end. WPTuts certification for $500. Just a thought. Ooh. Honestly, I would much rather just make courses available, and then it's entirely up to you guys then if you wanted to take the course and pay for the course. I think certification, coming from a background of adult education and knowing certification from that side of things, I have no credibility to sort of give you a certificate that would mean anything to any employer. So from that point of view, I think that would probably be more ego on my side of things to think I'm creating certificates for people, and I just wouldn't feel right about doing that. So courses are something that is definitely on the cards. Like I say, 2021, the first course will be coming out. Talked about this earlier on in this live stream and also in the previous live stream. But as for a university, I would kind of feel a little bit too obnoxious to actually call it something like that. But who knows what will happen in the future. Like I say, I like giving as much away as I can as possible without charging anybody for it. That's kind of always been a mantra of all the stuff I've done, even way back in the past when I started doing online kind of training stuff with Photoshop and Dreamweaver and those kinds of tools. So courses are going to be a dedicated thing, but they will be for a specific type of content. So, Doug, I hope that answered your question. So the university side of things, I don't think I would call it that, but I don't know. I don't see it in my immediate future as part of my direction for the channel and the content that I create. So probably not. So yeah, Carl, you just did an awesome thing. If anybody's interested, like I say, just hop over to the Facebook group and so on. Okay, let's have a little look. We've got about 15 minutes and then we're going to call it a night. Both CrocoBlock and Extras have similar functionality, going back to CrocoBlock and dynamic content for Elementor, and probably e-add-ons to a certain extent. You are right, they do have very similar features. I think the big difference is if you want an entire platform, CrocoBlock is a good way to go about it. If you want something that's works with advanced custom fields, and that's kind of your platform of choice, and Elementor Pro, then dynamic content for Elementor is probably the better option from that point of view, because it is pretty much fully integrated with ACF, whereas Jet Engine and a lot of those tools there are quite heavily integrated with ACF, but not fully integrated. There's still things that don't work with ACF, and I don't see that gap being kind of bridged anytime soon. I think it's more of a focus on Jet Engine and their own tools kind of thing. So that's kind of where I would go with that. Let's have a little look. What else? Richard, I'm dipping in and out. If I'm not you at the end, have a great Christmas, Paul, and look forward to your amazing content in 21. Thanks for everything you do. And thank you very much, Richard, for being part of the crew and also your invaluable feedback and being involved in these live streams. Absolute star. So if you do dip in and out, you don't catch the end of this, have yourself a fantastic Christmas, and I will see you possibly before the new year, but definitely in 2021. Okay. BC, Brizzy has potential, but they really fumbled the ball like a full-on choked. Brizzy is a really interesting platform, but I think the problem with Brizzy is, and I've said this for a while, is the development cycle is just really, really slow. And I think that's what's frustrated a lot of people, is that when they do something, they do a really good job of it. But it just takes them a long time to get there. I mean, people have been waiting for the WooCommerce integration, and I know that's in beta at the moment. It might be out of beta now, but that took a while. And people are still waiting for the blog side of things, so you can kind of create your own custom blog integrations, you know, obviously using WordPress kind of thing. So I think Brizzy is not doing themselves a favor there with regards to the speed of development. They need to pick up the pace a little bit and get some of those core features that are needed to rival some of the other, you know, so like Divi, Elementor, Beaver Builder, those kinds of things. Until they do that, they're still on the back foot. And I know they're kind of like the baby of the bunch there, but I still think they could do with picking up the pace just a little bit to get some more things out a little bit quicker. Okay, Charlie Bird, you need to go. Not a problem at all. And have a fantastic Christmas. And like I say, if I don't see you before the new year, I will see you in 2021. Take care and have a fantastic Christmas with yourself and your family. Okay. Carl, Beaver Builder was clunky, slow, and not very user-friendly. Elementor was the complete opposite, but now they're also failing because they're not listening much to their customer support, the customer feedback. Yeah, that's a comment that I see a heck of a lot over on the Facebook groups and different things that are sort of pulled up, is that they're not listening to what people want. I mean, I think I put a comment, I quoted a comment on a post in the Facebook group a couple of days ago from the interview that they did with I think it was Yoni and the other sort of originator of Elementor, saying like, you know, they listen to their user group and they take 80% of that information and build it into new features. And I kind of thought, well, that's not really what people are saying. On the flip side of that, the people that actually use it and pay for it, is that a lot of these features they want are just not being actually added in, you know, and it's kind of like, do we need to say breakpoints again? Okay. The Webflow Builder on WordPress, that is an interesting concept. I would have to ask though, BC, why would you want to have it built on top of WordPress? Surely WordPress would just add a pile of weight to what would ultimately be a much quicker site without it. So let me know why you'd like the sort of the Webflow builder on WordPress. Oh, and by the way, now we're on to Juicebox. Don't know what this is like. This is a new one on me. So, ooh, that's not very nice. Okay. Oh, Pascal, that's no problem at all. Okay, what else do we have? We've got about 9 minutes left, so we're going to do about 5 minutes of comments, and then we will wrap it up. Okay, let's have a little look. Can we expect... What's this? Joe. Can we expect a good competitor for WooCommerce that I'm not aware of? After all these years, still feels a bit rudimentary. Is that a proper word? It is a proper word. I don't think there is anything out there that is close to WooCommerce. I mean, it would be nice to have something that did rival WooCommerce, because I think WooCommerce has had the luxury of being able to be the only real e-commerce solution out there for WordPress. And this has kind of meant that if you went back probably about 7 or 8 years ago, you used to get good deals on the sort of add-ons and so on, the official add-ons for WooCommerce, but they got rid of their renewal discount, they got rid of their multi-buy discounts and all that kind of stuff, all because, if you ask me, they have the sole market share on an e-commerce plugin for WordPress. So it would be nice to see a rival come out, but I don't really think there's anything that I've come across, at least, that comes close to what WooCommerce offers straight out the box. And the fact that you can operate an entire shop on a free, on the free platform itself without actually needing any third-party add-ons or any sort of first-party add-ons, it is pretty compelling. So at the moment, there's nothing that I've seen, but if anybody has come across anything, let me know again in the chat, in the comment section on the Facebook group, whichever works for you. Facebook group link there. But no, I don't think there is anything out there that's going to rival it right now. But it would be nice to see something. So if anybody, like I say, has come across something, let me know. Okay, back to BC's question. So we've got the weight. Hang on, let me just pull that back up again. The weight is a concern for sure. But with how it's structured, I feel could have hit a middle ground between Oxygen and Elementor. I doubt they would ever go that route, but it's a nice dream. And I know Oxygen is kind of picking up a lot of traction at the moment. And I think it's an interesting platform. I do. I think there's a definite huge amount of elitism by the people that are prevalent in the Oxygen Facebook group. And the reason I say that is I got tagged into a comment in the Oxygen group. So I'm a member of the Oxygen group because I tested Oxygen out ages ago and created a couple of sort of videos on it. And a guy just sort of was slagging me off on there. Which I've got to be honest, I did find it quite amusing because it was quite nice. There's a lot of people that I know are part of Elementor and different groups and stuff like that. They jumped in and it's like, whoa. What's he kind of done to you? But this is something that I've seen time and time again. There's this kind of like this thing that Oxygen is, how can you say, it's like the Mac of compared to PCs. That there's this sort of sense of elitism about it, and not by everybody. That's a gross overstatement, but there is definitely that kind of like underlying current in a lot of the users of it, which kind of seems strange because I would much rather see people be, extolling the virtues of a platform like Oxygen and just saying how good it is and being supportive to everybody. And if you've got someone that, whether you agree with or disagree with their point of view, you're actually at least take it on board and maybe come up with a counter argument or a counterpoint or something. But I don't know, there's a bit of a strange, what do you say, clan-like thing with some people to do with Oxygen. So I don't know if it was just my experience or if anybody else has kind of come across the same experience. But that's not to take away from the Oxygen platform itself. It's just kind of weird. It's not just me. Then I can see, Joe, yes, Oxygen user base acts like there's some hardcore programmers. Kind of funny. I do like it as a platform. And this is the thing I kind of find weird. It's like, it doesn't matter what Oxygen can do and how it looks. At the end of the day, you're still using a page or site builder. you're not programming anything yourself. Yeah, I know you can do a lot of that, but it's like, if you were programming it from the ground up and creating your own things, then you could have a kind of elitist attitude. But you are using WordPress and putting a site page, whatever you want to kind of call it, on top of it. It's no different to Elementor. It just works in a slightly different way. So I say the elitist sort of attitude struck me as being a little bit sort of A, hypocritical, and B, just a little bit weird. So I don't know. I'm just glad to see that it's not just me. Carl, I tested Oxygen 2 and thought it was good at first, but then after a while I realised it was missing so much, and furthermore things were not very user-friendly either. Yeah, I think Oxygen has potential. I think they're taking a different approach to what we're kind of used to with some of the more mainstream page builders, the visual page builders and so on. So I don't want to diss sort of Oxygen, because I think it's something that will grow and develop, and I think it's great to see it's taken on a stronger user base. But I think it's not necessarily for everybody, So anyway, I would love Oxygen and Jet Engine, though. That would be a go-to if they offered it. I don't see it happening, though, sadly. I think the only sort of dynamic content integration you're going to get with Oxygen is going to be primarily ACF. I don't know if Pods is integrated with it. I'm thinking it might be. If anybody's used Oxygen and Pods or Toolset or Toolkit, whichever it is, let me know in the chat. It's interesting to find out what tools are used with it. But, Carl, ideally you need to come from a developer coder background in order to make it work the way you want it to. Yeah, I mean, I suppose you could kind of call it a bit of a hybrid between a tool like Elementor and Dreamweaver, where Dreamweaver would allow you to link up to databases, integrate with database tables, output dynamic content, those kinds of things. Whether that's dynamic content you create, or in this case, WordPress dynamic content, the loop and so on. I don't know. It's a weird one, but a good platform. Toolset is using Gutenberg. It is indeed Pascal. Probably why I haven't really looked into Toolset too much. Okay, so we are now at 7:30, so I'm going to just start to wrap this up a little bit. So first of all, I just want to say a massive thank you to everybody that's joined in tonight. I know it's been a little bit of a smaller group than we kind of used to, but I think the time of year, being a last minute, and also the day before the holidays, day before Christmas, definitely means that we're going to have a smaller subset of individuals that want to join in tonight. So thank you very much to everybody that's taken the time out tonight to get involved. I'm pretty sure there will be another live stream before the new year, but it won't be on the Thursday, which would be New Year's Eve. Might be the Wednesday. So maybe next Wednesday I might do another live stream. Again, let me know if you think this is something you'd like to get involved, and we can take a little bit of a look back over 2020 and some of the things I'm looking forward to and some of the things you're looking forward to in 2021. That might be quite cool. But apart from that, I want to say thank you very much for joining me. I hope you all stay safe. Have a fantastic holiday. No matter what you're celebrating, even if you're not celebrating, just enjoy the time off and spend it with friends and family. Look after yourselves, and I will see you all probably next Wednesday, but I'll definitely see you all in 2021. So thank you very much. Have a fantastic Christmas. I will see you very, very soon.